This tutorial video will show how to create a configuration file for head embedded fish in order to run the tracking later on. First, select the video for which you want to create a configuration file. Here, we are choosing a video of poor quality, which is difficult to track. First, select the tail tracking for head embedded fish. Since our video is of poor quality, we want to tweak parameters to get the best tracking possible, so we select the answer to the third question to yes. In order to adjust parameters, find the section of the video where the fish is moving. Now, check the quality of the tracking. In this frame, a tracking point is on an optical artifact, forming a ring. Add some background subtraction, as this should help ZebraZoom differentiate the fish from the background. A tracking point is still on the ring artifact here. The background subtraction helped improve the tracking, but was not enough. We will thus add a mask on the artifact. Choose the option to add black segments on artifacts. When drawing the segments, make sure that the artifacts are completely covered by the segments. If tracking error remains, try adjusting the minimum and maximum number of pixels between subsequent tracking points, as the values of those two parameters are not always optimal by default. When the tracking seems to be working well, go back to the previous page. Now you should adjust parameters to detect bouts of movements. In order to optimize the detection of bouts, adjust parameters for the red dot to appear on the top left corner of the image for every frame when the fish is moving. The red dot should not appear when the fish is not moving. Choose the size of the sub-video to be centered on the fish and only on the fish. We detect movements by subtracting subsequent images and by counting the number of pixels above a certain threshold. First, adjust this threshold. To check that the red dot appears at the right times, use the cursor or the page up, page down for fast forward or the arrows of the keyboard to inspect each frame. Set the minimum number of white pixels to a value slightly higher than 0. The configuration file is now done. Make sure to save it. In order to check that this configuration file works well for this video, launch the tracking on a subsection of the video with this configuration file. While the tracking runs for a few seconds, you can check the console to monitor progress. On this tracking validation page, check that the tracking worked well for your entire video. It looks like the tracking might be working well, however, it is hard to tell for sure because of the poor contrast of the video. Therefore, click on the Optimize Configuration File button. Click on the checkbox to improve the contrast. Save a new configuration file and relaunch the tracking with this optimized configuration file. Back on this tracking validation page, check that the tracking worked well for your video. The video contrast is much better now, and we can see that the tracking is working well. You can now go back to the welcome page and use the configuration file to launch the tracking on one or multiple videos.